And we're live. Paranormal Brew, our second show with Paranormal Warehouse.
Yeah.
And we have a very special guest with us tonight. Lisa, what is your website?
It's the number 2, communicate.net.
Okay. Lisa, I know I've had, oh my gosh, let me see, it's been, August will be 20 years my father has passed. And for the first 5 years, I went to so many things. I went to churches. I went to, mediums. I went to psychics. And, there wasn't that connection. And then I walked into a group. Somebody invited me to Lisa's group. There was a group thing in Marlton, New Jersey, or Cherry Hill. I can't remember, or Mount Laurel. It was one of the places that you would hold your, it was like 10 people.
Right.
And Lisa was the first one to ever communicate with my dad. Oh. And it was very, she probably doesn't remember this, but really quick, maybe 2 weeks prior to that, I thought I had a visit dream with him. And I questioned myself about it. I said that felt so real. I could feel the fabric on his uniform. I could feel the hug. We never talked, but this and this. And while she was picking up on things and saying things that there's no way she would have known, because this was back before the Facebooks and the internet, there's no way. She said, I have this thing and I didn't know why I got it, but now I know why. It's for you. And hands me a bookmark that says, "Believe in your dreams, they are real." So I was like, oh my gosh, for me, that just, yeah. So Lisa has always been somebody that I have, kept near and dear to my heart. I did go to her a couple more times after that. And now, we haven't spoken in a while. So Lisa, I said, I want her on our show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here. I am so excited to be here and to speak with all of you. I thank you for sharing your story because, it's always nice to hear, but I think it also helps people when they hear about someone's specific experience, people in the audience who have maybe had their own dreams and they welcome that validation because it helps them understand theirs, so it's really cool. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah. And I totally, I'm sorry, I'm sharing the link onto our the Paranormal Brews page so that whoever goes there can, let me see. Oh, here we go. So can you please just kind of give us, I know you were doing this long before. You're an author. You've written books. I have one of your books. Just give us a little bit about Lisa's world.
Okay. Well, I was born with the ability, and I didn't understand it at the time when I was young. But as I think back, there were events even as young as 5 years old where I was seeing things and hearing things. I just didn't know where to place them. During the younger years, which I wrote the book, and Finding Inner Guidance, about the younger years of awakening and understanding that I am a medium. There was different things that would happen along the way that I found exhilarating to have that understanding, to have an experience and then see the validation of it manifest, or be able to make a connection. But it wasn't until I was in my late teens, early 20s that I actually understood that I was communicating with those on the other side. I mean, I had an inkling that it was happening, but I wasn't 100% sure because I'm not the type of person that will just hear something and believe it right away. You have to kind of show it to me and prove it to me a little bit. So I did some analysis in there. So I welcome the healthy skeptic because I think it's normal to be that way. But yet there's just too much that has gone on that would that leads me to believe that there is no doubt in my mind that our loved ones continue. They are with us on the other side. And there's a long story short, there's so much involved here, but as I started to jot some things down that were very impactful along my journey, like knowing prayer was heard, it was really going to be a journal for my children so that I would have something for them when they grew up and my grandkids. And as I started to write these things down, these events, I became aware of a very high vibrational being that I refer to as Angel Guide. Now, Angel Guide gave me a lot of information as far as to the world of spirit, and that part's italicized in the book, so it became a little book, Being Light Driven, Finding Inner Guidance. And in this book, I think it's good for anyone to know that their loved ones continue, that we don't die. I think it's good to share my experience so that other people who are having their own experiences don't feel lost, that they have a little bit more of an understanding, and they can, gather that from that share. And then I give them tips on how to meditate to go within to find their own inner guidance. So it developed into a book, needless to say. And everything has an unfolding in my journey. And there was times where I would get very frustrated because I knew it was something special, but I really didn't know how it was going to go into the world and share it, because not everybody in my life at that time was on board with that. So it's hard to do that. Sure. But like any kind of creation of law of the attraction, you don't have to know how. You just put it out there and let it manifest. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, I came to a fork in the road, so to speak. Through meditation, I was told I could either help a few, because I would do it to a select few family and friends, or I could help many. And I was actually at another medium's event, and I went up in a break to talk to someone, and my family was with me, and someone overheard that. They were talking about me and my ability, and I ended up reading them in the back of the room that after the event was over. And from there, it launched me going out and helping other people. But I had to build up the chutzpah, if you will, because I was scared. Not everybody welcomed that idea. You're going back 20 years ago. It wasn't possible.
Right.
So now today I offer services as teaching as well as reading. So I have the two books. The second book is a workbook, an interactive workbook, Spiritual Guidance, Trusting the Voice Within. I co-authored that with Dr. Kimberly Friedman.
Do you have those books with you that you could show us, or do you have them right next to you?
My desk, so yeah, I have them here. This is the Being Light Driven. Oops.
Okay.
And then the Spiritual Guidance, Trusting the Voice Within. I was on my right from my left.
That's the one I have. That's the one I have. Yep.
I definitely have to read them.
Yeah. The good thing about the interactive workbook is we really do believe that there's much to honing in onto your inner guidance. And it doesn't mean that I'm minimizing that you just want to connect to the other side, but even to get balance, we're physical and non-physical beings. You need to acquire a balance so that you can have more joy and ease in your life and maybe make better decisions. Or, people are so tense nowadays. Mm-hmm. And there's so many people that are energy sensitive. The energy sensitive person, we can call them ESP, but they don't always know how to take care of their non-physical energy to create a balance.
Right. Yeah. For me, I tried a medium. I tried doing a class once and kind of freaked me out a little bit. I apparently was connecting with a girl's mother who I thought I was connecting with, her spirit. However, it doesn't make much sense to me. All I know is at the time I was very, uneducated at the time, but, it was her. She apparently was in a mental institution, the mother. And it was stemmed from, now I'm going by what this person told me. So, that her mother was into black magic and a part of this like cult, and she was trying to leave, and they said, no, you're not allowed to leave. And things happened to her that landed her into this. So she was alive still. It was just that she couldn't,
So, I'll put this out to you. If they are in an altered state, they can still connect.
Yeah.
And you must be very powerful and in tune to what you were doing, because I've also connected to those who are still in the living, whether they had Alzheimer's, dementia, or even in a coma. So there's different, because they're in that altered state. So we can't always explain it, but it happens.
Oh no, that freaked me out. I was like, whoa. Right.
Well, that's true. I seem to have maybe something I'll have a dream of somebody still living or a premonition, and then the next day you'll get that phone call, and either they'll say, all right, I'm really sick, my health is deteriorating, I don't have much time to live. Those things I could tell that what you're saying is true, because these people were living at the time that I'm having experience before they're on their way to be ill. Maybe it might be like 6 months down the line, but like the next day you'll get that phone call. I heard your uncle has cancer, I'm like, all right, I just had a dream of him the other day. It's like subliminal message coming through that, all right, you got to start, paying attention to the people who are around you that you love, or, because they're like signals.
Yeah. Do you guys meditate?
Yes. I do.
I try.
You try.
I have like, ADD very, very bad, so it's so hard for me to do those things. I mean, that's always been a struggle for me,
There are different ways to do it,
Yeah.
Guided meditation, or even a walking meditation, or going in nature. I mean, you don't have to be the stereotype or the standard. You make it work for you. But I believe that the meditation feeds the non-physical, just like blood feeds the physical. So it's really a great way to open up, to allow yourself to have that balance and make those connections.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we have connections, right? Taryn will be like, "What's wrong?"
Yeah. She's my best friend, right?
I won't talk to her for a month, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, "What's wrong, Taryn? How do you know? Stop doing that."
Isn't that amazing, though? You can have a
connection,
family or good friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really is. And like, then it's also that thing where it's like, you're thinking about somebody, you get the phone call, or you see them somewhere and you're like, oh, I was just going to call you. I was just thinking about you, and it happens,
So this is what I tell people, that to think about their loved ones on the other side, that it doesn't matter if you're here on the earth plane or on the other side, you're always connected through that stream of love. And just like you're talking, as you and Sabrina are connected, it's the same way that you're connected to your dad or to the other people on the other side. All you have to do is think of them. They hear your thoughts, they hear your prayers, and you're very much connected. You can always ask for a sign, but don't be attached to the outcome. Just be open to receiving it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I struggle, with for some reason, I feel I do get signs from my dad, but like I don't get what other people get from him. You know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, seriously? Like, or like this? Like, I don't understand why, like you're not. But I do believe that, the connection is I still feel him. You know what I mean? And sometimes I wonder, like, and I might be, speaking for other people, sometimes I worry that, my yearning for his presence keeps his spirit, or keeps him, stuck or here, or, and I've heard that a lot, like, maybe you need to let go a little bit, and but I mean, I don't know. Is that something that you find?
I have never found that to be true in my experience. And I can only speak to my years of experience that I understand on this lifetime, but as the experiences that my clients have shared with me. But I don't find that to be true. I think what happens per se is when you want to make a connection with somebody, you need to quiet your mind. And if you say you're hyper and you're constantly thinking you're attached to it, you may be repelling it as they're trying to make that connection. Plus, everybody's at a different vibration, and it has to make that connection to make the interpretation. It's in symbolic energy language that connects everybody and everything. So
Right.
it's kind of like a radio receiver. It has to make that connection. Now, we all have spirit guides, and this is my understanding, that you have a spirit guide from the time you're born in this lifetime to the time you transition. And there's others that may come and go, may they be family, relatives, or just someone that you're wanting to learn something that will come and assist you at the time, during the lifespan that you have here. And you can always ask for help. You can always ask for help, but no one's going to interfere unless you ask.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't. I've actually have never. I just kind of like I pick on him. I'm like, what are you doing?
Ask before you go to bed at night. The best time to receive is when you're sleeping, because you go into an alpha state where you quiet your mind. You don't have the chatter going on. Put a paper and pencil next to your bed.
Yeah. So before we came on, you brought up something very interesting. Because you basically just do the mediumship. So we're on our ends of things, we're doing the paranormal investigations, we're going to the historical sites, and we're investigating, and we're helping raise money for that. And we have Beth, who was a part of our group. She's a medium, and so she would go to these things as well and help to pick up on, and help the investigations, where she would go in and she'd say, okay, I'm picking up on a female, and energy, that was here, and this and that. But you were curious as to how it all intertwines, and you also brought up reincarnation. So that's like all these things that are awesome that I want to talk about. So
it's my passion. Let's go.
Okay, I got a question. So, so do you follow mostly like Eastern philosophical ideas and thoughts? Would you say you're more towards Eastern philosophy?
I don't really know, because I don't really follow any philosophy. Okay. I kind of have learned through the education of my experience, and I find that the journey's been my school and spirit's been my teacher. Mm-hmm. But I do find that I love yoga, and I do like a lot of the practices that I learned from Kundalini, that they kind of appeal to me. I'm more spiritual than religious. And, so I think that it just has to be with what works for you today, without a judgment, things like that. Yeah. But I do love Buddhism, the philosophies, Thich Nhat Hanh, and all that. I like Eckhart Tolle, Abraham Hicks.
Yeah, I would say I'm spiritual. I'm not really religious. Right. I tried the religion thing, but it wasn't my thing. I found the spiritual part, the Christianity or the spiritual part of things, to be a little bit more comforting and easier for me to accept. But so you start your thing, and then now you do classes. So how would one? So they go to your website to sign up.
So on the website, I have private sessions and groups. So they would be able to go for a reading. Would be either a private one-on-one, a group of 2, or we can get a group of 10. Now, of course, with everything with the pandemic, I've been doing a lot of Zoom, and it works just beautifully as we are here. There's no barrier to spirit. You can be anywhere at any time and be multiple places at once. Also, I have a counseling session that is also listed there, which is really a one-on-one teaching session for people who have had similar experiences or any experience that they really feel like they need to talk to somebody to get an understanding around it, and maybe intuitive guidance onto how they can move forward to make their own practice. So somebody may just need one. Some people may want more than one. And then on occasion on the calendar page, you'll see where we would have different types of group settings where we may say intuition, awareness, and practice event where people will come together and it will be like a counseling session, but it's more of an interactive group. And I have been doing the retreats for the past 5 or 6 years in Cape May with Trisha Heiser. We were,
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, we did them at Congress Hall. I don't know what will happen this year because of everything else.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to put the beach in there somewhere when it comes to a retreat.
We do it in the winter. So we do it in January. This year we did it in February because the remodeling going on. But we love Congress Hall, and that's a very, they have a lot of spirits there.
So when you walk into a place, I mean, are you to a point where you're a switch, you turn it off, turn it on, or are you walking into places and you're feeling the energy, you're feeling the spirits, like what our friend Beth does, she walks in and she's like, oh, I feel this, female energy, or are you?
I'm very energy sensitive, but I also have a maintenance practice, which in the books, Spiritual Guidance, Trusting the Voice Within, I have a whole chapter on maintenance, because I think it's really, really important that you be able to have a so-called normal life and, go to work and, take care of the family and all that. But being an energy sensitive person, you do pick up things when you walk into a place. But I also allow, during my meditation every morning, I'll allow spirit to make that connection at that time if there's something that they need to tell me. So it kind of gives me that they have a very consistent timing of when they can make that connection. That doesn't mean that impromptus don't happen. They do. You can ask my coworkers.
So do people that aren't in this world, aren't in the paranormal world, do they tend to get freaked out? Or are they like, all right, Lisa, don't do that,
It's a mixed bag. I think people are more open to it now than they were 5 or 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I freaked some people out, definitely. I didn't do it on purpose, but it does happen. But mostly I will ask, at the time, am I supposed to say something? Because, where does HIPAA come in on all this?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. That really is true. And it's a shame that you have to think about that nowadays. You know what I mean? But it is true.
Well, you look at Long Island Medium where she goes in the grocery store and, I don't know how much is sensationalized and she'll be talking to this one or that one. Well, my family had a restaurant for years and I would get certain things, but I didn't always share it because you didn't know if the person was able to receive it.
Right. That's true. You have to worry about somebody's reaction that isn't looking for that. You have to worry if you walk up and, somebody says something to you and, and you're like, well, who the heck are you? Like, you're freaked out. Nowadays, you're like, what are you stalking me? Are you like, like it's crazy nowadays.
Well, I rely on my guides for that. My guides.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Also you get there's an attraction too. Cause like I was a bartender for so many years and I'm like, why is this person just telling me everything? And then all of a sudden, then you're connecting to things that you need to want to say to them, but you're afraid to because you might freak them out. And then you're like, well, what are you doing on this side? I'm like, well, and then they're like, oh, so yeah, can you give me a reading or can you tell me this or that or what's the scariest place and stuff like that. So, but yeah, you could be there a magnet anyway. So, sometimes they come to you pretty much. And being in a hospitality business, you get all kinds of things going on attracting.
Do you guys ground yourself before you go on to an event?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do. I do my ritual. I'll do something. It's not one specific thing. I might change it up depending on the type of energy we're going into, whether it might be a hospital, a sane asylum, mental, anything that has to do with a little bit heavier. Or if it's somebody's just like a house and we're looking at something that's not so heavy. But it depends on what it is. You know what I mean? And of course, we bring things with us. We'll bring our sage spray that I'll make, or we'll bring crystals. We'll wear them. We'll, sage itself. It's all different types of means that we either prior and then afterward.
Yeah, that's good. I always do that too. I'll make sure that I ground before. I use visualization and prayer when I do my channeling sessions, so I'll do that prior. And then at the end, I'll channel it down, with the grounding prayer visualization.
I usually do, and on a normal, just everyday life, you got to do it. So, I mean, we work in just going outside, and of course, being empaths, we definitely need to prepare that. So, like I was telling Taryn, I tell Taryn all the time, take a shower. When you take your shower, do the meditation at that point. And, put your bubble, and I do IET. So I'll do my IET little stuff, and then go out because you never know what you're, going to connect to on the outside world. And she's in the medical field.
I know. And I'll tell you what, I'm guilty. I don't do it. I don't ground myself. I don't do protection. It's so bad. I don't do it. I'm so bad at it. I really am.
Find that you get tired when you're not really tired, and that you pick up other people's, I will call it emotional debris.
Yeah.
You were scared coming into a doctor's office, or, in any kind of medical environment, and you pick up that fear. Or if you have a friend that wants to tell you their trouble, I mean, you might be right up here and having a good day and good, and then they're going to tell you all their stuff, and then they want you to come down there with them, and then you give up your power.
And then you're completely zapped.
The idea is that you stay strong. You can still listen to them. You can still have your conversation, but you keep your visualization, you keep your practice, whatever it is, and hold your own. And it is a practice. It's something that you every day will get up and say, where am I today? Because the world is always changing. We're in an environment from the time we're very young till we grow into our old age, where everything is changing. And even from day to day, the environment is changing. So you have to check in where you are today and what you need for your tools in your toolbox. So I call this journey surfing. We're constantly getting a balance to go on your journey.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, especially now, like I really am struggling. And since I'm not used to grounding and protection, what's going on in the world, and I think I said this the last show, like what's going on in the world around us, like all of this negativity and all this, I mean, it's really affecting me somehow. Like I don't feel myself, you know what I mean? So at home, and everybody's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, but outside is really affecting me, so I have to find something somewhere before I'm like, everybody's like, where's Taryn?
Right.
She just, like she's off the grid. Like, where'd she go?
You gotta find what works for you. I mean, you can have affirmations that will work for you. You always have access to breath, thought, and prayer. You always, and your visualization. You can do that at any time, anywhere, without anyone knowing it.
Yeah, that's true.
So you can have a big deep breath, and you can, whatever works for you, whether it's visualizing a big white light of universal love and light, whatever comes into, whatever your belief system is, that's what you use.
Yeah.
And also you can be covered by your non-judgmental fur babies.
This is true. Non-judgmental. I like how he threw that in there.
Well, in theory, animals are supposed
Although I do feel like the parish judges me quite a bit.
Some cats can be, mean, but.
No, I love the fur baby.
I found the quarantine, unfortunately, like with you saying everything around you is just such chaos and everything. Mm-hmm. I found a center just being, with this shutdown and everything, as bad as it was, I found a little bit of myself. Like I went out, how many times did we go out into the nature? And it seems like just that I was in heaven in one sense. I'm like, here's the world, and then here's my little heaven here, because I'm just enjoying the fresh air and the trees and everything.
everything happens for a reason.
Exactly.
So, you know, all this turmoil, I believe is for a great
Balance.
yeah. Eventually.
Yeah, well, you see, my peace and my Calgon and my, my natural Xanax and my meditation, all of that happens in Gettysburg, right?
Okay.
But I can't go live in Gettysburg. I just can't go there. I want to, but I can't. So,
Right.
and I can't, fortunately in a couple weeks I'll be there for a couple of days, so it usually helps me to rejuvenate my inner spirit, and you know what I mean. But like Sabrina was saying, like she's got this little piece of heaven. To me that's it. Like I go there and it's like I'm a different. It's like me again. You know what I mean? And I feel like I'm in this little bubble. Like it's great. So maybe I might use that as a way to get myself, in the right frame of mind.
You can virtually create that. Yeah.
Yes, and that's important. Yeah, because physical spaces change, but I think your island, your temple's within you. That's first and foremost, because you could find yourself in a situation where you only rely on yourself and within you, your physical mind and your brain, like that could be your only peace. And if other things will fail you.
Sure.
Like your consciousness is very, very powerful. There's a lot about consciousness that we don't really understand to this day.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
So you brought up reincarnation.
Yes.
Now this is one thing that I I'm on the fence about. There's things that I have seen on TV that I'm not sure if it's very it's entertainment. So you believe in reincarnation?
I do.
Now, have you ever experienced, as much as you can tell, I know that there's client, confidentiality and all this and that, but, your experiences with reincarnation, maybe is there one thing that, that started your belief in this, or, is there something that happened that you yourself?
Well, I always thought it was possible. I always wondered about it and always thought it was possible, but I don't know if I was a normal child or not.
I think we all believed that at one point.
But as I got older and I kept getting drawn to different books as part of my journey. And one of the books I was drawn to was Many Lives, Many Masters with Dr. Brian Weiss. And if you read that book, after having that, you had that thought that that's how it was. And then you read that book and it really solidifies it for me that it was actually true. Now, he had always been somebody that I looked up to and I really liked his work. And I put the visualization that I was going to work with him. And he's huge. So I'm hanging out all over the place. And it happened a couple of years later that all different things happened for a reason, different people that you know. One thing led to another. I did a private event with him in Pennsylvania, and I thought it was wonderful. Now, here's a question that many people ask, which is probably your next question, which is, how can people communicate to you if they've already reincarnated? So it's asked all the time. I actually asked Dr. Weiss that same question, and he said it's a very tough thing to explain because we like to comprehend things like this and from a different perspective. That, as I know from doing this work, that the souls can be in multiple places at one time. You could be talking to your mother and your sister could be talking to your mother at the same time, having an experience. But there's somehow or other that it can split and you still have that personality, and yet they've also gone onto another area. So that's the only bit I can explain from that, but I do know that it is possible.
Wow.
That is cool.
I
never even thought about that.
Yeah.
That comes up all the time.
So you travel. How far have you gone to do events?
Well, I've done them internationally through the internet. So
Cool.
there's been, Bhutan, Australia, Italy, different places that there've been, and then of course in the United States. So I don't have to be there physically.
Mhm.
Wow.
There's a lot of people on, like UK, or there's different people that are on right now that are saying hello too. So we got them from all over here.
No, we do it all the time, and it makes no difference. Time and space doesn't make a difference to those in spirit. And when you make that connection, it's a symbolic energy language that connects everybody and everything, whether you are here on the earth plane or on the other side, whether you are a fur baby or
It's crazy because sometimes I like the connections I have with them. Like, I'm like, are you, like you stop and you think like, are you like somebody that was in my life before, or, I mean, they're fur babies. They're literally I don't have human children, so they are my kids, and, I have such a connection with them, and with that, I do feel I'm kind of an animal empath a little bit. Whereas I tried working for a vet's office because I'm like, I love animals so much. Couldn't do it. I was a mess every night. I was leaving there crying my eyes out. I was like, I can't do it. I tried.
I wouldn't have been able to do it either.
Why are there horses around you? Do you like horses?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I do like horses, actually. I do. And
I think that's something that you may want to explore more.
okay, that's interesting. That's interesting because there is a farm in Gettysburg where they keep horses. It literally is
Probably, yeah.
She's drawn to that.
Yeah, and I go there.
There, you and the horse. So I don't know if it was from a past life or what, but there's some kind of connection for you.
That's awesome because Taryn does. I'm sorry, I'm speaking on your behalf, Taryn. It's like blowing me away now because you just like you were drawn to one spot that was a horse farm.
Yes.
And also a lot of horses lost their lives in Gettysburg. Mm-hmm. But you just go, and I don't think you've ever asked why, but there's a reason for that, and I do think you need to explore that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. You're always walking the horse trails and mentioning, we're always by statues with Calvary and Gettysburg as well that you're drawn to. That I'm drawn to as well. But.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is, and I just learned that there's a difference between Calvary and Cavalry. I thought it was the same.
I hope I said it right.
I didn't know that. It was like the same thing, So it's interesting because that has been a topic and a thing around me lately. So yeah, Like see somebody's say use Cavalry. Yeah, I learned there's a difference.
You're correct.
So what do you have you ever thought about astral, I might say this wrong. Maybe is it astral projection? Is that when you sleep, or is there something else called when you sleep and you go play
Some people do this regularly. And some people probably do it without even knowing they do it when they sleep. Did you ever get like a jolt where you come back when you're waking up and you feel like, what was that?
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about it. I know I've had at different times felt like I've left my body during meditation or different types of things, but I don't think I know enough about it to speak about it.
Yeah.
I know it exists.
It's scary though sometimes because I have several and it's pretty scary.
That doesn't scare me.
No, they scare me. I'm like, wait a minute.
That would bother me, but this doesn't scare me.
I was just flying over my house, and how I'm get back here now. I feel like I can sometimes when that happens, though.
Well, I think as long as you're grounded, you're good. You do a grounding practice, you'll be fine. It'll just
So have you, your family members and loved ones come to you a lot? Or, I mean, like, does that happen for you? Like, you're in the kitchen cooking mac and cheese, and all of a sudden, there's somebody.
I've had some amazing experiences that give me peace, and because I have a brother on the other side, I'm like human, like everyone else. I have loved ones on the other side, and definitely they have come through. My brother's hysterical. I use the experience he gave me when I talk to my clients in groups before, giving them an expectation of how this works, how it works through me, and he always said to me, you didn't take my advice when I was alive, so why would you take it now that I'm alive? It's really true. So
Yeah,
That's true. Funny.
Well, and the theory is, at least though we've been taught, generally, the energy is the way it was here as it is there. Do you find that to be true? If you have somebody that's real grumpy on Earth,
well, they're going to come through with their personality so that you know who they are and making their connections. So if they were grumpy on the Earth plane in that experience, they're going to come through a little with their grumpy personality so you can make that connection. There's different levels and layers of goodness, if you will. And I do believe that law of attraction's in order there as well.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I know, I was totally, at my wit's end when I walked into your thing, and I'm like, nobody's ever he's just not gonna come through, and boom, there he was. And I was like, that was like the most profound moment of my life right there. Yeah, it really was. And then that's what set me off to start to get into, what else is out there, and
that's
wonderful. It
has a domino effect of healing that takes place. So you never know, when you speak to somebody, whether you're speaking to someone about this or I'm speaking to someone in a session, you're giving them an idea, a seed or a thought of some kind of option that's out there, and it does a snowball effect. So it plants the seed of growth there.
Now, do you still do your stuff locally, like in the Mount Laurel, the Cherry Hill area, or are you
in Florida? So I live in Florida now.
Wow. Part of Florida.
I'm in Palm Harbor, which is near Clearwater. It's on the west coast.
Gotcha.
The other side, yeah.
There is a woman who answer this question already. She said, where'd it go? When did you realize you had the gift? How long have you been doing it? So, I mean, I know you answered that question, but can you revisit that one?
Sure, absolutely. In hindsight, it's a wonderful thing. Now looking back, I realized that I had always had that from the time I was a little girl. Mm-hmm. With that said, I think people can learn to have the acknowledgement of that language that connects everyone to enhance their ability. It wasn't until I was in my late teens, early 20s that I realized I was actually connecting, and it was actually when I connected to my grandfather. After he had passed, I was doing automatic writing, and then he came through. Okay. And then everything started to fall into place together. But I did write a book about my earlier years and understanding that I was a medium, being light-driven, finding inner guidance. So
I have that one too.
and it's a journey, and things would happen that were very impactful, and then nothing would happen for a period of months, and I say, oh, maybe it went away, but that's not the case. Now in hindsight, I realized that my guides were giving me some time to understand what happened, and then something else would happen. So everyone has guides, as I mentioned. You can talk to them and ask them for help and allow them to be your teacher.
What did you have any experiences that you don't remember that maybe your mother or father said, told you about, that you just, maybe you were a toddler or a young girl that you just probably don't remember, that they said, well, you were talking to so-and-so, or you did this or you did that?
Not that I can think of. I'm sure there could have been things that happened. I know my mother said to me that I was it took me a long time before I would talk. So I don't know if I was like 2 years old or what. And then all of a sudden I was in a rocking chair singing a song. So it's like, so I obviously was getting it. I just wasn't speaking it. But I had older siblings, so I probably didn't have the opportunity. So who knows? But things, when I was, I guess, as young as 5, I remember a white thing that would visit me and scare me when I was younger. And I would see the shadows and images in my room, which would I would find scary at times, until I realized that I had the ability to say, go to the closet door and stay there. And then they would. So,
did you tell your parents this though, and then they said, "Oh, it's your imagination"? Or
initially, yes, but I had a wonderful mom that was open, and we, there's no coincidence. We choose our parents for our situation, and they were great for that. Dad didn't bother me too much. He says, let's talk about the weather, because I don't think he could talk about it.
It's interesting you said that, because I'm going to bet there's a girl, Bethany, that wrote, I'm just going to show you, she's basically writing, that, almost the same thing, like she said, I feel my daughter may have a gift. She's very intuitive, connected. She sees dark figures, but they don't scare her or bother her. I always feel a calling to this as well. No matter how much I ignore it, I feel connections, So they both are working on this together, which
grounding is good. Whatever makes you feel good, say some prayers before you go to bed, whatever is in your wheelhouse of belief. And, just let her feel comfortable, and, feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. That was my next. I was going to ask that, like how your mom, and obviously you. But what about your siblings? Were your siblings accepting of it? Do they have experiences?
They accept me. There's been too many unusual things that have happened that they accept me.
Awesome. Well, that's a good thing, Do you come from a big family?
There was 4 siblings.
4.
Mm-hmm. And any lineage of any mediumship through any of your family members?
My grandfather, I didn't realize, and no one in the family realized it until, again, I was in my late teens of sort, and that time I was searching and longing for things. So I was telling them at the dinner table what I was seeing, feeling, and hearing. And all of a sudden, my grandfather said, "Oh yeah, I see my dad every night before I go to bed when I'm saying my prayers." And my grandmother was like, her face almost dropped. But he had an uncanny way of knowing things when people didn't tell him. Like if someone was trying to hide something from him, he would always know.
Yeah.
So it didn't surprise me much. And he was the one that came to me initially, that I understood I was connecting with those on the other side. So yeah, I have a connection with my grandfather.
Yeah, my mother just announced to me that my great grandfather was born with a veil. I'm like, why'd you tell me all this time? You're now telling me all these different things, and like, I've been questioning things my entire life and saying this house was haunted, and when I was a little girl, and now I'm 48 years old. You're telling me now.
It's okay. You have plenty of time.
Yeah. I was always thinking I was the crazy one.
You're not crazy.
Just a little.
That's the whole thing. We just can't judge each other. We're just going to have to go and be. And whenever I have my classes, the first thing I say is there's no judgment here. It's a judgment-free zone, because you're going to have to say things that come to your mind, and you're going to second guess yourself to say, "Oh, I don't know if I should say that," but you just have to say it anyway.
Yeah, that's the good part with the mediumship classes. Yeah, just go with it, especially with the auras, what you see, and the same thing with the paranormal. When we go out, we were taught that what the vision is in your head, or what you're hearing, and name, just say it. This way, it could be a connection that you don't even realize, and then you tune in and you learn from this, and you practice this, and you get you open up more and more, and And that's
everything's connected. All these things are connected.
Don't worry, Lisa. We live in the Northeast. We have tough skin. We can handle judgments.
She's from here, so she knows.
I still judge. I can take it too. I'm very humorous. I got humor. I love humor.
All good.
So if somebody was to now you're in Florida, which I had no idea, obviously, but so do you do online stuff for people?
A lot of my clients are all over the country. I had Arizona, California, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, recently, Chicago. Yeah, it doesn't matter. There's no limitation of time and space. So just as we're speaking here, it would be a one-on-one, usually Zoom or Skype or Facebook Messenger. There's so many modalities in this day and age of electronics, that it makes it easy. I mean, years ago, it used to be on the phone,
Yeah.
I'm going to date myself. We record the
1-800.
So I'm going to date myself. We would record the session. I would use one of those little tiny tapes and then a CD. And now it's MP3. And now it's just a Zoom.
Yeah. Do you still do automatic writing?
I do on occasion, not as often. I do allow people to teach. What happened when I was pretty early on in years, automatic writing is you ground yourself first, and it's you hold the pen and paper very lightly, and then you have an intention in mind and a connection. And after you ground first, and then you see if your pen will move and what it will say. And then when you're done, you always give gratitude afterwards. But definitely it still moves. But at this point in time, my connections have elevated to the point where I don't need to do that anymore. So they come more in blocks of thought. But then what happens is you interpret those vibrations into language that you understand. So that's the tricky part, where it's not as easy as getting an email from your loved one. You have to interpret this symbolic energy language. So there's times I'll say that I'm going to let you know what I see, feel, and hear, and allow you to place the information, just let that unfolding happen.
Right. Well, I know when you connected with my dad, there was no question. You know what I mean? It wasn't a, I see a white rose off to the side and it's a, this and that. It was, I'm seeing this, this is for you, this is it. I get this, he's strong, he's funny, he's, you know what I mean? And you described certain things that, like I said, at the time, it was, before any internet type stuff was around. So it was, you're amazing. I think you're amazing. I'm very honored that you took the time out to come on the show, because you're very gifted. And, I think a lot of that too comes from, you don't abuse your gifts, you're not, malice, and you're not fake, you're not phony, and you really help people, and it's not many people out there that I can say that about, but for you, for sure, I know that you're legit.
I'm very honored to be here. It is a privilege for me to do this work, and it comes from the point of understanding. And somebody said to me once, "Well, they also had ability, and they were shy to share it." And I'm like, "Well, if you're sure of what you're receiving, and what you're receiving comes from a very high vibration, to not share it is doubting that of what you're receiving." So, just do this long.
So are you? And then I was just curious. I don't know why, but do you do tarot cards and stuff, or are you just, you're just on the medium and it just? Oh, you do. Okay, cool.
I don't necessarily do them to there's intention is 99% of everything. So whether you're clearing your space, the intention of the clearing is 99% of whatever act you're doing. And in using the cards, I find them to be an energy exchange. So it'll either have something synchronistic about going on in your life today, or something that comes up in the reading. And I don't know if you recall, I usually use them with every group that I have, and I just love playing with them. I don't necessarily do a card spread to tell you your future, but I will do a card spread after a private reading to complement the reading, and most of the times it comes up with information that was given, so it's more a different intention.
I do that with when I do healing work.
Yep.
I'll pull a card, and it'll I'll do my healing, and I'll pick up on something, or I'm talking to them, and afterward I'll explain something, and then I have them pull a card, and then it'll just absolutely make sense to what we were discussing or in the healing, and it kind of gives them a little extra confirmation that well, it just gives them just an extra confirmation, which I think is awesome, because then they think, okay, this is for real. I do need to work on this better, or I have to take that into account and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
It's a great compliment to the work.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And unfortunately, we only have like 3 or 4 minutes left. So I want you to just, tell us, how to get in touch with you, your website, any events you have coming up, anything you're going to be doing online, anything. Just throw it all out there.
I want to thank you for having me. It has been a pleasure to speak with all of you and whoever is in the audience. The best way to reach out to me is through email, and that's lisa@2communicate.net. My website is 2communicate.net. We will put it on the invite. I'm sure it's on the advertisement that was there.
Yeah.
I offer readings, whether they be group or individual, and I offer counseling for teaching. Right now, I don't have any calendar events happening because of everything going on, but I'm open to doing them through Zoom. If you wanted to get a group together, for teaching or for channeling, I'd be open to that.
It's awesome.
Awesome. That'd be great.
Yeah, we definitely thank you. We thank you for coming on the show, and
thank you.
It's been wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, you have no idea. I totally look up to you, and I think you're amazing. So I knew when we were going to be coming on to and joining Paranormal Warehouse, I'm like, I definitely want to give you some light and give you some, because people out there that are looking for that connection, with loved ones and stuff, I most certainly want them to know you are out there, because you really do an amazing job with.
Thank you very much.
With that. And so if anybody wants to connect with their loved ones, please reach out to Lisa. I'm telling you, she's amazing. I vouch for this 1,000%. She's amazing. I'm not even kidding. She will not leave you disappointed.
And of course, you two are wearing the same colors today.
I know that.
I'm close. I'm a little close.
Right.
He has to be much brighter.
Yeah, I'm always wearing like rugby jerseys.
All the best. I mean, it's a lot of fun now that I know it's there. I've been watching a few of them, and good luck when you go up to Gettysburg.
Yes, I will be going live from Gettysburg, and that'll be on the Brews page, but I'll be going live from Gettysburg, and it's going to be fun, and I'll have my moments, and my grounding moments there, and but you come on whenever you want, Lise. If you ever have something that you want to do, you want to come on, and you're always welcome.
Thank you very much. Well, we'll get together again then.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, and stay safe and healthy.
Thank you. You too.
We'll see ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. Sorry if we didn't get to everybody's questions or inquiries. I totally say a lot, so I have to stop. I have to try to stop.
You're not a professional.
I do talk with my hands. That's the Italian in me. I'm going to always do that.
No.
You didn't go to journalism school. Don't worry. Don't stress.
Gilbert, I put her website in the comments a little bit up. It's let me see. I'll put it up really quick. We only have like a couple minutes. Where did it go?
And half a minute.
Yeah. It's Lisa at to communicate. Did I spell it right? tocommunicate.com or .net. I'm sorry.
Oh, shoot.
Did I
The two at communicate?
You spelled communicate wrong. Yeah.
well, it's
Yeah,
Lisa
COMMUNICAT.
Hold on. Look, I hope she's like going to kill me.
COMMUNICATE.
It's Lisa at tocommunicate.net. I spelled communicate wrong. Okay.
Yeah, that's all right. I think people can figure it out.
Yeah. So it's Lisa at tocommunicate.net. That's
probably type
I hope I spelled it right this time. Anyways, that's her website. You can get in touch with her there. She's also on Facebook. But she's amazing. I'm telling you. And oopsie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gilbert. He said we're the best. I guess we got to go. It's 1:00. We're usually on our Paranormal Brew page. We can, we're on for like an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes. But obviously with the warehouse, we have to respect the time limits. We will be on next week. Next week we have James
Anito
coming on. Looking forward to that. So I hope everybody can join us for that show as well. Thank you for all the love and support. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. Cheers. Cheers. There we go.